Hey everybody, my name is Mike, and I had responded to a post on one of the Facebook groups for administrators about someone being a new administrator that was becoming a school testing coordinator for standardized testing or state testing. And when I was years ago as an AP, I was also my school's school testing coordinator, and I'd come up with a really easy way to disseminate information to our staff around state testing that the feedback that I got from teachers at the end of our first year, and we used it for a while going forward after that in subsequent years, was that, I've been teaching for 25 years, and this is the cleanest, most straightforward method of understanding what I need to do for testing, whether it's training or day of or, storing materials afterwards, shredding, scratch paper, all that kind of stuff. So it's really not rocket science. It's nothing too brilliant. It's just something that I call a one sheet. And I use this method for back to school nights, for, other PD seminars, just any event that has a lot of different types of information associated with it. I feel like this method of consolidating information can be really helpful. And it's based upon the premise that when you email out information, staff will lose it, right? They won't remember which email is the most recent on the topic. If you include attachments or directions in emails, it's going to get lost in an inbox. Everybody gets hundreds of emails a day. And it's just, kind of a headache for everybody involved. As an administrator, you're going to be getting emails or questions the day of testing, like, I can't find this email, I can't find this. As a teacher, your teachers aren't going to be able to find the information they need. So you can use a one-sheet idea anytime you need to handle a complex event or something like testing. So basically, a lot of people use websites to do the same thing. Again, I doubt you're going to see this and think that it's earth-shatteringly new. It's really not. But all that it is, effectively, is a Google Doc with different links for everything that's needed for that event or for that issue. So, for instance, I have some notes here at the top that you would delete if you were going to share this with staff. This is just kind of how to make a copy. But Richmond Middle School, fake name. But basically you would have headings of different topics and then just create links underneath those. So like testing calendar, you'd want to include, when everything is happening, that sort of thing. Training, everything to do with training, keep under the training tab. Everything to do with day before testing resources, day of testing resources, after testing, news and updates. But the whole idea here is that anything you need staff to digest, right, you are including in a Google Doc, or I often use Google Slides, and is linked back to this one page. So you're never sending out an email to staff saying, see the attached PDF on the information that you need to read. You say, look at the one sheet. I just added a PDF or a link to a PDF from the state website regarding the information that needs to be digested. Or look at the one sheet. I just added the training calendar, or look at the one sheet. I just added a sign up for X, right, for the training session or something like that. Basically, your staff becomes familiar with the terminology. Look at the one sheet. I need the standardized testing one sheet. And, again, we use this for the back to school night one sheet or the pre-service one sheet. It became a centralized place for people to find the most up-to-date information. That's critical, is that you always want to make sure your links are up to date. If you had to change a protocol or change a training schedule or change something on a document, only one link is on this document, and it's always the most current link. That way you're never saying, well, I sent that in an email to you 3 weeks ago, you should have that already. Staff don't have time to hunt down, search in their inbox for, standardized testing training dates, and then look for the most recent one when they've gotten 5 emails on it and they don't know which is the correct one. I mean, it's a nightmare. You get the same thing happen from the DO all the time. So basically, that's rule number one. Link everything to a common place. Never send instructions or attachments in an email. Always refer people back to this one sheet. Include a link to this one sheet if you want. That's always a good idea. But you're always referring back to this one sheet, and you are in charge of maintaining the integrity of this one sheet. Make it read-only. Don't let people edit it themselves. And then some things that I typically covered was like a calendar of what's happening when, training, everything to do with training. So oftentimes, right, I don't know if this will let me click on it, but there is just bananas amounts of training that's I was in Oregon, or I am in Oregon. The amount of training that's required for staff is crazy, right? Now, we all know that most states require teachers to read supposedly every sentence on these training manuals. Let's say, and hopefully no one from the state is auditing this, but I don't care, I'm not working in a school anymore. Teachers aren't going to do that. We know they're not going to do that, right? You still need to tell them, right? You are required by the state to read all of this information. That is expected of you. But I always also attached slideshows or summarized versions of the information in very, very simple format, because at the end of the day, you want a successful training experience for staff and teachers, and for staff and students. You don't want teachers coming back saying, well, this happened, and you say, well, you didn't read the training material, and they say, well, I did, but you know that they really didn't. That's not what you want. You want them to understand what's going on in as straightforward a way as possible, so it's your job to summarize that information and make it available to them. So what I would do oftentimes is include slideshows that I made of the highlight reel, basically, of what they needed to know for the required training, like what not to do for testing and proprieties, what not to do for what things students aren't allowed to have in the classroom at the time, and then make them take a quiz at the end so that they can actually show that they have digested at least the information that you've presented. And then, of course, have them sign the form provided by the state saying that they have read everything, because it is their professional obligation to do so, and they know that. But we have to deal in reality and realize that time constraints are going to prevent people from really doing sometimes all that the state expects of them. And even so, even if they had the time to read every sentence, the likelihood that they're going to retain that is quite small, because as a human being, we're just not designed to digest. I know the state testing manual, I think, is like 145 pages or something like that. So that's enough of that soapbox. Other links to other things, do that as well. So I guess my rules are: keep everything in a centralized location. Don't send attachments and instructions via email. Summarize as much as possible for your teachers, and keep it light. Like, interject humor into it. It's okay to validate that, like, this is not the funnest thing we do all year, and we need to pull together as a team and get this done. But it can provoke a desire to just throw your laptop out the window when you have to read all of this dry material, or when the state testing site crashes and you just want to break things. We're gonna not succumb to those temptations, but it's okay to admit that everybody has those feelings. So that's that, and I hope that it's helpful. Again, not rocket science. I include my email on here. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. Send me a text. I know people are like, I have never met you before. I feel weird sending a text. I talk to administrators all over the country all the time for a living. I don't mind getting a text at 2 a.m. I'm not going to answer it. I'll respond the next day. But shoot me a text and just say, hey, Mike, what about this? What about that? I'm happy to respond to that. And that's it. Shameless plug. If you need some PD for your staff, check out our website, peerdrivenpd.com, but that's not why I'm doing this. Best of luck to you guys. It's a hard job. It's a hard thing to pull off a successful training session. There's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders as a school trainer, but the best thing you can do is to stay organized to keep your sanity. So my hat goes off to you. If I can be of any help at all, reach out. I really am more than happy to talk through anything at all at any time. So thanks again, and good luck.